There we go. Woo! Hello, hello, and good evening, everybody. Today is Friday. Friday. Today is Friday. And I don't know about you, but it has been a long day for me. So, because it has been a long day for me, I want for you to let me know how has your day been in the chat, right there in the chat. Make sure you also like that button as well as hit subscribe so that you can get these videos as soon as they come in. Put in the chat, hey Sarah, and let me know where you're from as well. How has your day been? My day has been very interesting. This week has been interesting. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine's, and I was talking to my sister, and I was saying like, I can't believe today. Well, I was saying it yesterday. I can't believe today is Thursday. It's been a busy week, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. I am absolutely excited because today we are talking um about social media, the social media journey. And so I remember a lot about social media. So we're going to be talking about a little bit on today as it relates to social media and how all plays out. On tonight, I want for you to let me know in the chat um, where you're from. Say, hey, Sarah, put that in the chat, as well as if you are interested in you don't have a social media manager, you're interested in a social media manager, you know somebody that needs a social media manager, you can definitely DM me and DM me in my Instagram. Actually, let me put that in there. Let me give you my Instagram so that you can do that. Um, there you go. And you can DM me and put "Let It Live," and I'll know exactly that you was part of my Friday live. Okay, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about social media. And so for any of you that has been joining me within this past week, I've been kind of like really, really doing it up this week. So for those that don't know, I'm Sarah Johnson. I am the founder of Virtual Yours LLC. I have been really striving to like bring up the volume this week. And so I'm excited that today is Friday, and I've been doing so much and having an opportunity to like bring some things out um, as it relates to different aspects of my business. For those that don't know, I started out as a virtual assistant. Before that, I was into office support in person. When I became a virtual assistant, um, my goal was just to help out on a virtual basis, regular office duties. But as I continued on, I realized that there are so many workflows and duties in the office setting that can be served, that a virtual assistant can assist with, and more so, though some of those systems can become automated, and which definitely helps if you have a virtual assistant working for you. If you get those items automated, excuse me, it's not about taking their job. It's about making the workflow seamless um, for them and yourself. You always know what's going on. So let's go ahead and get started. And I want to put this in the chat. I want to talk about the social media before social media was what it is today. And the reason why I want to share that aspect of me um, is because um, when you talk about social media today, all you can think about is um, the constant grind of it. YouTube and TikTok, and that's all you think about. But I come from the generation where there definitely was, it was like the beginning stages of social media. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. And um, so we're definitely going all the way back where we're not talking about Instagram tonight. Not talking about Facebook. We're not talking about TikTok. We're not talking about Reels. But what we are talking about, something that I know and was definitely my start, is the era of the Microsoft software. Not just Microsoft software, but the Microsoft software that came on the floppy disk. Yes. It came on Microsoft um, software came on floppy disk, and you would put it into your computer. And of course, your computer was, for the most part, a box. And you would put it into into the base of the computer, and that was um, that was how you would upload Microsoft onto the computer. We're going to be talking about the manuals, the huge manuals that was like bigger than a Bible. And they were so big that when you went to the library to actually try to check it out, you couldn't check it out because it was so big. It was a resource. So you could only get what you needed to get from it, by either making a copy or jotting the notes down. Yeah. And what about, we're going to be also talking about like AOL, dial-up, right? And Microsoft HTML, Blogger templates. We're going to be talking about all this stuff when you're talking about your story online, uploading one picture every 3 months. Every 3 months, one picture. Yes. So that literally like creates a framework for my social media story, because that was where I got started. Um, and it's not one that I would change for the world, because I was totally like, I just knew I was doing something. So I started off with Microsoft. And I'm not talking about like Microsoft Teams. I'm not talking about Microsoft OneDrive. I'm talking about, Microsoft on a disk, where I had to actually install the program onto the computer. And the whole time, praying that the computer had just enough space to hold the program. Yes. And then being able to know like how to maneuver the files so that you could get enough space to put it on there. Yes, indeed. The manuals. Now, granted, I can't even mess with the manuals, them being as big as they are. because that was how I learned. Many of the programs that I learned that I know of today is through reading those manuals. Yes, indeed. I was so happy to have a computer in my house that I would literally spend the evening time. I would hurry up, come home, do my homework, and then as fast as I could do my homework, eat, do whatever chores I had to do, I would spend the rest of the evening. And normally, before the computer, that extra time for me was me looking at my fashion magazines, or reading one of excuse me, or reading one of the books that my mom let me read. But when we got the computer, I would spend that time reading the manuals, the Microsoft software manuals, um, AOL, reading AOL's manual. Um, Let me think. And then they got smart and creating um, they started creating manuals for Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word. um, what else? Whatever. And I was reading those manuals. Like, I learned step by step. I learned page by page. It was no joke for me, and that was the original system. Like, I was there because I was so willing to do that. I became really, really good. I was very, very helpful at and granted, my school, the high school that I was at, the middle school and the high school, I think the two of them both had really great computer programs at those schools. Um, and it was mandatory that we took those classes, but it was almost like it was a waste of time for me because I had already taught myself in the sixth grade how to use many of the programs that he was teaching us throughout those time frames. So I oftentimes was helping, giving understanding. I had taught myself. My mom had a typewriter. Um, my mom had a typewriter, and so before we had gotten the computer, we had the typewriter. So a lot of times, if there were things that needed to be typed at school for homework, um, I had to learn how to type on the typewriter to have like that paper, right? So I had learned how to type on the typewriter, but typing on a typewriter is completely different from typing on the keyboard. So when we got the computer, I was able to, even though it's difficult and it's hard, I had to reteach myself how to use the keyboard for the computer because it is very different from the typewriter. And so um, I was so I think we had classes for that as well. There were like little pieces here and there, um, that, tricks of the trade that they was able to teach me. But for the most part, especially when they gave us like especially when they told me like what they would have like little games, of course, for students. They would have little games. As soon as I learned the company of the game, um, I immediately went on to the internet. The internet at that time was AOL, and I found that program, and I asked my mom if she could order it so that you know I could learn all the little tricks of the trade of typing. So AOL came in, and if like the dial up sound, like it there was that was the hope that the dial sound would completely go through. And after it did, then you would hear, "Welcome, you've got mail." Gotta love it. You gotta love it. Um, and so that was that was the height, making sure that you actually got online. And then being able to see that you had mail, not physical mail, but electronic mail. It was amazing. And for a kid, being able to have mail come in, that was amazing, right? You actually have mail, because most of the time when pay a physical mail, you don't have physical mail. But when you have email, right? You have electronic mail. Yeah, you got mail. You've got mail. And so I'm gonna tell you on a side note, um, I when my daughter when when I set her up with an email account, that was one of the things that I was big on. Like, did you check your mail today? And sometimes I would just send her mail just because for me, it was that nostalgic moment where I enjoyed receiving electronic mail, um, because I came up in that realm. So, the so before I go any further, if you have come on, definitely let me know where you're coming in from, where you're watching from. Be sure to like and subscribe. Excuse me, so that you'll be able to capture these videos when they come in. Okay, so um, and the reason for this, we're talking about social media, is because I want to be able to let you know, like, the history. Like, I'm just not some person that just comes up out of nowhere, um, and want to serve as your social media manager. I'm giving you the history of where I come from, and why I have that love for building and creating workflows, where all of that stems from, the weirdness of being a an office support, um, uh, office support, and understanding the need for automation in a world that, honestly, when you're honest about it, it could literally take you from it could literally take your job. But being able to know, more than that computer knows, um, what actually is needed, right, in the office. Well, hey, you may not need me in the office anymore, but I can build it. And so it's the same thing with social media. There's a special touch that goes with social media. Um, and it goes along with being able to capture the essence of the history of this flow of entertainment, right? Um, and so that's what we're talking about today. All right. So not only but going back to AOL, not only was it, you know, waiting for the dial up connection, not only was it, once it successfully went through, being able to go in and see and to hear, "Welcome, Sarah, you have mail." It wasn't just that, it was also the chat rooms. Like, that was like the first group messages, being able to go in and talk to people in China. And and like, when I first started out, it was amazing to me being able to talk to someone in Detroit. I remember talking to someone that was in Detroit. And I'm like, Detroit, Michigan. Oh my goodness. Like, where is that even at? right? And I'm from Maryland, so that's a good little distance. But then to have the opportunity to talk to someone, because I had started becoming very interested in mission work, and trying to connect with other people that was part of missions. And so being able to talk to people that was in China and different parts of Africa, chat rooms right there. Instant message was the first DMs. You be in a chat room and then someone finds you interesting in the conversation, and all of a sudden you have a little pop-up bing that would come up on the screen. It was amazing. And so what we didn't know back then, though, was that was the beginning of the online community world. That was the beginning. It was so amazing. It was like so amazing. But let's be for real, though. If anyone picked up the house phone while you were online, it was over. Like, and I lived in a house with a lot of people, so the phone rang all the time. And so the internet would always go out. I'll be on. And so the way it was set up in my house, like it had to be like the computer was like the family computer. So it was like in the kitchen, and it was totally in the way. There was no privacy. I remember clear as day, I'm trying to set myself up for um prom, and I'm talking to the guy on I was about to say social media. That's funny. I was talking to the guy in email, and I can't remember. It was just easier to go into um a chat. It was I I'm gonna dilute that in a bit. It was just easier to go into a chat, and so we wanted to go onto the chat. But it was just like that lack of privacy, um and knowing that like I'm going through this big, you know growing up moment, and at the same time I'm trying to have this conversation, and I'm smack dab in the kitchen. It was So it's funny when I think about my daughter, who she has like her own cell phone, her conversations are on her own device. And if I'm sure many of you parents have the same thing. If you just say one thing, like, what are you doing? Who are you talking to? Da, da, da. It's like their whole world is over because you're totally invading their privacy. If they only knew. Okay, I digress. Okay, so if someone got on the phone, yes, the connection would completely go out, that dial tone back, bloop, and you would no longer be online. So if you was smack dab, and that has happened, you're talking about the season of SATs and trying to study up for it. You're smack dab in the middle of a test. The phone rings, the test is gone, and you have to start all over again. Yes. Let's see. The next one is Microsoft. I'm not Microsoft, MySpace. MySpace was that first aspect of personal branding, and it was amazing. Oh man, do any of you remember your name that you had back then on MySpace? MySpace was the moment, okay? You were able to pick a top 8 like friendship hierarchy. You was able to pick your top 8 people. You was able to have a personalized soundtrack when people came onto your page. You was able to code HTML, and you didn't even know that you was like at the like brink of some great stuff. You just knew, I mean, you was just having fun. Like you was really like, and people's pages would be amazing. I did one time, I did print out my page because I was trying to take it to the next level, so I printed it out. But I'm sure it is like can't even barely be seen now. But it was amazing. You could customize your banners, your backgrounds, all of your layouts, um, down to your the fonts and the sizes. It was amazing. You're talking about you're talking about kids that did not have, like this was the first computer like thing. I'm not talking about like Nintendos and stuff like that. I'm talking about it was like the first computer thing, and we was able to, the sky was the limit, pretty much. The sky was the limit. It was amazing. um I was just, I loved MySpace. Absolutely love. It was it was definitely an opportunity to express yourself. And at the same time, you're learning coding and not even realizing it's happening. It was amazing. It gave you an opportunity to tell your life in pictures. Yes, it did. It gave you the opportunity to tell your life. It was the beginning of IG for real, because like, and it was the beginning of people like really like lying about who they were, like those weird pictures that they would have of themselves, and then you would see them and you'd be like, it's amazing. Okay, so it was that era of uploading your life online through pictures, digital cameras, photo bucket, albums. Do anybody remember some of the albums that you had, like the names of your albums? Um, and then you would wait for your pictures to all load, and they would just pop up row after row, and it was just like, that's all we was looking at, all those pictures. It was definitely original content. Like, honest to God, many of us, we could have been millionaires for the amount of pictures, just raw capture of pictures that we had, for real. Like, for those companies that purchase just really authentic um photos. Yeah, it was raw, it was unfiltered, it was slow, but there was so much meaning behind it, so much effort. Most definitely. And then was the rise of the blogs. Like, and it kind of was like intertwined, because it was the beginning of Blogger and WordPress and Tumblr, and it allowed for you to share your story in written format. It went beyond just the photo, and it gave you opportunity to really, really write it out. If you had a story, you had an opportunity to write it out, and publish it and create a community. It was amazing. Um, and so that's when, now granted, back then I was painting, back then I was writing, I was doing a lot of poetry. Back then I had the opportunity to do a little bit of article writing, um, for different, as a freelance writer. And but it gave me the opportunity to start being in that vibe of posting stuff and building communities and building something that was legitly mine. That season really started that era of what we have today. It really was. And then from that's when vlogs became like a real thing. Being able to not only just write it out, and make money from it, but then be able to transform it into um, video format. um, it was helping the individual that is not good at writing at all, but they're really good at capturing those moments in film. Um, so this was the foundation. You're talking about from this to dial up to blogs to vlogs to being able to truly become a storyteller. That was the buildup of becoming, um, being in the world of information. Somewhere in the middle, I realized this wasn't just about entertainment. It was the beginning of something big, something that was able to take me into a total different world. It was an opportunity to express your voice, my story, your story, giving opportunity for people that really had a message to be able to put it out there. So that was part one, right? And I'm going to leave it there for tonight, giving you time and space to really just take all of that in. That season was the opportunity of being able to go beyond just your everyday atmosphere and really be able to capture the realness of there's a life beyond here. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to do a part two to this video because I think it's going to be beneficial to see where things picked up after the vlog. But I'm going to tell you that that error led me to becoming the systems person I am today because it was about content strategy. It was about being able to manage that social data without even realizing it. It really was the voice behind Virtual Yours LLC. And it is why I enjoy so much being able um, to work the tinker, right? To tinker with the systems within the office. So part one is all about the nostalgia, right? And then part two is going to be all about the transformation and how it began. Thank you so much for joining me. For those that came on, definitely be sure to let me know where you're watching from. If you are interested in if you are in need of a social media manager, you can definitely get in contact with me. My information is provided in the chat. Be sure to like this video. Don't just watch it, like it. And then if you are interested in learning more, you can definitely subscribe. I am in the process of building out specific communities, as it relates to the services that I provide. And so if you subscribe, you'll be able to get all of that content as it comes in. Thank you so much for taking your time out to watch. It has definitely been a blessing going back in time talking about my road of social media. All right. Have a good night and be blessed.